I'm talking about straining for that logo on the side of your helmet and not the name on your back.
Yes, sir.
Because we know what it represents. It represents everybody here you see and everybody you can't that we've talked about. I'm here to strain with you, men. I swear to God, I'm here to strain with you. Let's go. Everything you got, strain with everything you got. Let's go. Bills on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bills.
You're listening to the Off Tackle with John Fina show with your host, Joe Miller. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, into the Off Tackle with John Fina show, starring me, Joe Miller. I'm the star of this. Maybe not so much, but it is.
That's
good.
Cool. I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
It's good to have everybody joining us here on episode 2 of a special 3-part series here on Buffalo Rumblings, the Off Tackle with John Fina show with that guy over there. My name is Joe Miller. That is John Fina, former left tackle for the Buffalo Bills. John, how are you feeling? Well, this afternoon where you are, this evening where I am.
I'm feeling pretty good. I was in New York City for about 4 days, some business, some pleasure. Sadly, there wasn't nearly as much Bills gear roaming around the city as I had hoped there would be.
No, there's not.
No, there's not.
Probably some Jets gear today.
There's a lot of goofy shoes, though. I'll tell you that. People wear the goofiest shoes.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, the women are wearing these shoes with these soles like this. So they're going to turn an ankle all over the place.
I just want to know what's going on, Rex Ryan, because a couple weeks ago you posted a picture of your feet, and now you're talking about shoes in New York.
Oh no, I had a blast, but I flew back today, so I'm a little weary, I guess, weary traveler kind of. But I saw there was a Bills guy on the airplane. There was a Bills guy at JFK, and then there was another Bills guy at the Phoenix airport. So, I feel better that the world has not completely, come off its axis.
There you go. Well, everybody, welcome into the show. As I said, we are going to be talking about the NFL draft, which is looming at this point. We spend all of this time like the build up to the draft. Well, actually, it's the build up to free agency, and then it's the build up to the draft, and then it's the build up to the preseason, to the build up to the season, the playoffs. It's this never ending cycle, and they've done such a good job of just like drawing all of us in to the point where we have come out with a 3-part series, right? So 1, 2, 3. Last week we talked about free agency moves, needs for this Buffalo Bills football team. Today we're going to be talking about the draft specifically, and potentially who we think the Bills should, maybe, would, could possibly be their take, yada yada, what they might do. And then next week, please tune in as we talk about what the Bills did, right?
Oh boy,
did. And are they going to surprise us, or are they going to do what we hope they do?
Oh my God. What it's going to be is, you can't satisfy anybody, right? So, Daniel Galleries, he has his opinion, right? Tracy Fitcher has her opinion, Richard Rush, Mimi Fina, right? So the first pick, whatever we do, whether we trade it, whether we take Bijan, whether we get an offensive lineman, somebody's going to be pissed, right? Oh, we needed a wide receiver 2 or 2.5 or God knows what. And it's the great crapshoot of the NFL. Especially, wow. I mean, everybody's got their list of favorite busts, either league-wide or Buffalo Bills busts that have come down the pike, right? But you look at it, and there's really only, and I'm not advocating for this, but Bijan Robinson is a lock,
right?
He's a lock.
Yeah.
But do you need him? Do you get rid of somebody you just signed? It's not the highest need, but if he's still there, which he wouldn't be, and you draft him, there's going to be so many people that are angry.
Agreed.
But that's the fun part, because for me, people ask me like, okay, we'll have this draft, right? And somebody will send me a DM on Twitter and be like, what do you think of our draft? And I'm like, I'll tell you in about 28 months. Okay. Give me 2 years with these guys, and then I'll give you my opinion.
Right.
And that's really what it boils down to, Joe. I mean, you'd say you're gambling. You're gambling on, will they stay healthy? Will they be a contributor? Will they be a good citizen? Are they going to amount to anything? And you just don't know. but it's fun. I mean, I can't, I don't fault anybody for going off the rails like they've been going for the past 5, 6, 8 weeks.
Yeah. So we are not draft aficionados. And I am proud to say that I think both of us are I'm almost 50, in our 50s, and we are both mock free still, right? I don't think either of us have done an actual mock draft, which may end tonight, but it will not be posted so that nobody will necessarily have to see that on Twitter. But we're going to talk all things draft, 2023 NFL draft here on the show. We are Super Chat Live. So if you've got a question or a comment that you want for John or even myself, feel free to jump in there. It'll come up all colored and bubbly, and we'll get to see it, and we'll post it on the screen, and we'll talk about it. So, but before we get started, there is Buffalo Bills news, which is that Tyler Bass was inked to a new contract extension, 4 years worth up to $21 million per reports. The deal includes $12.3 million guaranteed. That seems low to me. Does that not seem low to you?
It makes him the top 4 kicker in the league.
Really, it just seems like like $4 million a year seems, or $3 million a year seems like a $4 million.
I think who's our guy at Baltimore? I think he pulls down like 5.2.
Justin Tucker, the best kicker. He's got the best kicking average in NFL history, right?
It is amazing.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, per the report that I pulled, Bass helped 27 to 31 on field goals last year, 87.1%, 48 to 50 on extra points, which are kind of a short field goal nowadays. And then this is the best tagline of all. Considering the often horrible weather in Buffalo, these numbers are certainly impressive. It's like, all right. Oh, I lost your audio.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you were. Gotcha.
I was trying to mute you, but I just ended up muting you.
That's fair. I get it, dude.
Yes, Karen Idzik. I am at Denny's. I'm at my favorite counter at Denny's. No, actually, Karen, I'm in travel. I'm in transit, and my sister was kind enough to lend me her banquette off the kitchen. So after this, she'll be serving me. What's on the menu for tonight, Christine? Oh, filet mignon with crab and foie gras. I'm doing pretty good.
Bougie.
Yeah. Mimi's on. You don't even come on my pod. Mimi's on the pod every time.
That's a bougie Denny's you're sitting at.
So when you said Tyler Bass got inked, I thought maybe he got like Bill's Mafia babes on his left breast. I thought like tatted up, right? That would be legend.
It would be legend.
That would be legend. So it was a market deal for a guy who is as good as he is, right?
Right, for sure.
So I'm good with that. I like that whole idea of having the special teams triad settled: snapper, holder, kicker, punter. I mean, that's good.
Agreed. 100% agreed. So also in the news today, Aaron Rodgers, the deal has been done. Aaron Rodgers is a JETS suck. Effectively, this trade goes down between the Jets and the Packers for Aaron Rodgers, who instantly becomes the greatest player to ever play for the Jets, which is hysterical. Kind of when you think about the fact that like he's old already, right? He's not young, he's not spry, he's past his prime, but he is clearly at this point the best player that's ever played for now the Packers and probably the Jets. But effectively this deal breaks down into they swap number 13 and 15 this year. So they basically just, and I believe the Patriots are in between them, which they're saying has some draft effect because the Packers are in need of some of the same things that the Patriots are in need of, and they've just leapfrogged them, which is kind of fun. But even inside of that, the Packers also get a 2nd round pick this year, number 42. They get a 6th round pick this year, 207, and a conditional pick next year that is a 2nd and could be a 1st
if he plays 65%
of the snaps. The Jets also get obviously Aaron Rodgers and a 5th round pick this year. Here's my question. First, what are your thoughts on this? This is, to me, it all comes down to that conditional 2nd to 1st round pick. Like that's the break for me. That's the point where I'm like, I'm out. If it had been a 2nd yet, like a 3rd to a 2nd next year, I probably been like, oh, this is a pretty good trade. 2nd to 1st. I mean, what if the Jets are picking in the top 15?
So you don't like it because it disaffects our beloved Buffalo Bills, or you don't like the deal from the Jets' perspective?
Yes.
Like, why did they give away the farm for this guy who's a little long in the tooth and occasionally sour in the attitude?
Yes, that, and not to mention the fact that what happens next year if say they come out of the box 1-5, 2-6, something like that, does he get benched? Like, do they start like waning him out from the 65% because they don't want to have to give up a top 10 draft pick next year?
I would.
Crazy,
I
right?
absolutely would. But the question really doesn't become if they're bad, right? If he becomes the guy that we kind of suspect, or maybe everybody's a little bit fearful about, he does kind of have that sort of my way, Aaron's way kind of demeanor. I don't know. Maybe he's a turnover a new leaf guy, right? We heard enough bad things about Stephon Diggs, and he was not the guy that we were promised we were getting. He's the guy we hoped we'd get. So I don't know. And I've seen a few people, and I said this when we first brought up the conversation, he doesn't scare me. And I think it's not because of his skill set. It's because of the mixture, the surroundings.
Yeah.
Because it's this guy with the Jets, and the Jets on their own have kind of a bad blend already that they may or may not be coming out of. But then you add this guy, and it just doesn't really concern me. Yeah. I thought that they were on a decent trajectory with Mike White, actually.
Yeah.
And now Mike White's gone. So
I think the biggest thing for me, and we can cap it off here in a second. Obviously, we don't want to spend the whole time talking about Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. I agree. I think it makes them marginally better. What it's going to come down to, and I tweeted this earlier on a Duke Preston. Did you play football with Duke Preston, by the way?
He was not.
He was a Buffalo Bill that came after you, former offensive lineman Duke Preston. He just said that this is a horrible trade for them for a number of reasons. And I basically I played devil's advocate a little bit and tried to look at the good side, which is the Jets have weapons and they've got talent on that offense that Mike White nor Zach Wilson could basically make anything out of. One thing that's going to happen, Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to distribute the football, call the right plays, get them into the right looks to effectively make those weapons useful. And I think that's what it's going to come down to, right? So Nathaniel Hackett, who is kind of like reconnecting with Aaron Rodgers after Nathaniel went from the Packers out to Denver, and now he's with the Jets. So I guess that's the question. How effective can that offense be? Because the defense is good. We know that already. The defense is really good.
Really good.
Scary actually. So it's going to come down to the fact that Aaron Rodgers, for me, has weapons that he did not have in Green Bay, like at all.
Right. And I agree with you that's the concern. Like the pieces are in place for the Jets to be successful, as much as it pains me to say it. The pieces are there. They do have the weapons on offense. They do have great defenders. I mean, they're pretty stacked, right?
Yep.
But so I just have to kind of spin my hat around and think about it from our perspective now, and think about the track meet aspect of the game. We need to score 7 to 10 more points per game.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to go wide receiver.
So you're jumping ahead. Before you jump ahead, and I don't know if this is an exercise you can.
I thought you didn't want to talk about Aaron Rodgers anymore. So
I don't. We're going to get to the draft, but I have a lead in the draft.
Okay. All right.
Let's transition to the draft, to the Buffalo Bills draft, which is on Thursday night. The Bills, as everybody knows, I'm sure, picked 27th overall. Maybe there's somebody like my mom who's in the chat who doesn't probably know when they're drafting Thursday night.
I'll be at the opera.
You'll be at the opera on Thursday. You're not watching the draft on Thursday night.
I may or may not be watching the draft.
You are so cultured. You are so cultured, John Fina.
I have work. I might be driving. I might be listening to it on the radio.
Being at the opera is not work. Well, I
was kidding about the opera
part.
For
me, being at the opera would be work, and I'm a musician.
To stay awake.
Yes. And I'm a musician. I'd be like, can this just stop? Anyway, I don't know if you can answer this question because you, number one, don't like to disparage people. However, when guys need to be called out, except me, when guys need to be called out, you're very good about calling them out relatively properly, I would say. But I also don't know that necessarily you could potentially remember a player or the player that I'm about to ask. And I don't have an answer. I'm just curious. You were drafted in 1991, first round by the Buffalo Bills. You played until 92 by the Buffalo Bills. You played until 2001, last year's Buffalo Bill. Is that right? Yep. So with that being kind of framed, we understand that part. Who was the biggest draft bust by the Bills in your 10 years of Bills? So the guy that came in that was like, oh, that's the guy, or that's supposed to be the guy. And then it was like, oh, you, and you knew like, you're not going to make it. You're not the guy.
I don't think I can think of a first round guy that fit that category, but my draft class, and great guys, by the way, but 2 of the top 4, I just kind of was a little in retrospect, right? Because when I got to Buffalo, I was terrified. Like, I don't belong here. I mean, these guys are, I didn't play this brand of football. I was, and that's the way I operate, like I want to put more pressure on myself. But, we had 2 guys in the top 4 that never kind of panned out. But one of them, who's a great guy, and his son actually plays in the league now. He was coming off a broken leg, like a really nasty break. And I was like, you drafted the guy with the broken leg. Okay. I don't know. I don't get it.
How's that work?
How does that work? So I don't always think about it in those terms, right? Because, it always goes back to this question of, does a non-productive NFL career mean you were a terrible football player? No, you were at the top in college, right? And maybe that was enough. Maybe that's what you were.
Yeah.
So it's all, it's very much like, remember fax machines? Remember the movie Singles? Faxing 100 resumes out there, because that's kind of what it's all about. It's just like, well, I'm the 7th round pick, and it doesn't seem like there are that many guys before you, but it's hard as hell to make a team. I'm interviewed by this massive corporation, and my skill set is lacking. And okay, I mean, to be turned down by the greatest opportunity in the world to be considered to be in camp, still pretty damn cool.
Yeah, agreed.
So I don't know. I don't think about it. You know what I have to do? I'd have to have you compile a list of everybody that was drafted while I was there. A name that comes up who, and again, with same agent, wonderful guy, just didn't do well in the league, was Flowers.
Oh, Eric Flowers. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And Todd was a 2nd round pick. So
yeah,
Eric Flowers, who is a great guy. Todd.
That probably is the guy.
But consider the fact that the guy's like, I think he was in the league last year still. Like I had like he had like 15 years in the NFL. I was watching film, right? Yeah. I'm like 19th knee surgery, thinking I played 100 years ago, and they marched Todd Collins out. I think it was with the Chicago Bears.
I meant the guy is probably Eric Flowers. Yes, Todd Collins did have a long career as far as that goes. He played as a backup. He was a backup in the NFL for a very, very, very.
Bro, make me a quarterback, give me a clipboard, and float around the league for 15 years.
Gail Gilbert, right? That's what we're talking about right now.
That's the equivalent of, just keeping the GPA up on your college team.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. I think Eric Flowers is probably the answer that I would give, not knowing all the. I guess we could go back, but we're not going to do that in this episode. So
you're going to give me homework, and you're going to do it for
negative.
Hey, Matt, thanks for putting it up there, Matt. By ham.
So we are going to be talking. So as we transition to the NFL draft for 2023, the Buffalo Bills, as I said, has they have the 27th pick overall. So I guess where we need to start, which is probably where everybody has started as well, but you and I have not, which is the biggest position of need coming into the draft. And nothing has necessarily really changed since last week. We did not get DeAndre Hopkins at this point. We did sign a kicker, which helps. I think we're in somewhat of agreement, but I feel like my I don't know what you're laughing about, but I feel like I have changed a little bit. So I know we agree on inside linebacker, right?
Yeah.
What are you laughing about?
Well, it's just funny. You said we didn't get DeAndre Hopkins, but we got a kicker. And I was like, so not equal. Here's your consolation prize. You wanted a wide receiver 1 or 2, a legend, potential Hall of Famer, and we gave you a kicker.
Yes, and Mimi Fina asks, Dad, what are you drinking? No IPA today?
Your Aunt Christine doesn't have any IPA in the house, so I'm going pinky up.
Oh, pinky up. Nice. So he's drinking, it's a red, obviously, but what is it? Cabernet?
I didn't really even look at the bottle, Joe. You cracked the whip on me. I had to get on and get my headphones all tuned in.
There was 11 seconds left before the show was going to start.
You scare me.
Here we go. Anyway.
All right. So middle linebacker.
Yes.
Wide receiver, middle linebacker, wide receiver, offensive line, safety. That's how I stack rank it.
You and I both So you said earlier today on the phone with me that you know that everybody feels offensive tackle, right tackle, but you don't agree. And I don't know that I do necessarily either. I almost wonder if safety is more of a need than offensive tackle, right tackle right now.
Yeah, I know Buffalo Freddy's on the line, and if I didn't say offensive line in the top 3, then I'm going to get that hashtag draft fat guys, which you just did. I could smell it coming. Not as good as this barbecue, though. Oh, my God. So, look, I watch Spencer Brown a lot, and I'm telling you right now, if we're going to give Gabe Davis an ankle, then we should give Spencer Brown a back. All right. The pieces are there. There's just a little tinkering that needs to happen. But that was the same thing with Josh Allen. That guy went out on his own, got the coaching, and changed quite a bit about his throwing motion. So much like when you raise your kids, right? The reason against being a helicopter dad or mom is you got to give your kids a chance to surprise you, right?
That's good.
So we got to give. He's his 3rd year. He's a 3rd round pick. I also have a theory about Spencer Brown because I feel like he played better as a rookie than he did last year.
I would agree with that.
And beyond the holistic approach to the problem that we've discussed before about wide receiver 2 and getting guys open so Josh can get rid of the ball, who does he trust, all that stuff, there is an element of ignorance is bliss. So as a rookie, he's just coming out there wild, wild west, just firing, right? And in the passage of time takes a grip on you, right? And then you get these little seeds of doubt or fear that grow. You're no longer just like fresh as a daisy. And some of the things that I saw that he was doing this year, I was like, he didn't do that last year. Why is he doing that? And that's that kind of thing that creeps into your head where you start doubting and creating stuff that you didn't do the year before because you were like, woohoo, here we go, man. I can't believe I'm here. You're got your phone out, you're going down, it's Disneyland, you're on the freaking roller coaster. But now he's at the point now where he's kind of, I think it digested it a little bit, and it just places this kind of second guessing nature to you. But that can go away. I mean, every player goes through that. You fake it 23 hours and 59 minutes a day, and there's a minute out of every day when you're a football player that you're like, man, I don't know if I got the chops. And you got to get rid of that.
So when you're talking about offensive tackle, right, what's interesting to me is the number 1 ranked per a lot of people, Peter Skoronski, with sub 33-inch arms, Skoronski very well may end up as a guard. So that's your best your best tackle prospect right now is a guy that they're projecting is probably going to play guard because he doesn't have reach. He doesn't have the reach that he necessarily needs. When I look through this list, as far as the guys that are there, Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, Darnell Wright, is there a guy there, Darnell Wright, 4-year starter at Tennessee, which is a big program. There's some guys that are probably going to play. I just don't think, to me, would I be happy if the Buffalo Bills drafted a tackle in the 1st round? I probably would not be upset. I'd have questions, right? It's like, okay, is this guy going to sit? Is he going to play right away? What is the plan? I don't know that I would necessarily be upset. Would you be upset? Where would you land if the Bills drafted a tackle at 27? Out of the gate, tackle.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is the disparity between the last best tackle that should go in the top 20 and then the next best tackle that really shouldn't go at 27. Right. So to me, I think it's a mistake. I think if you're just laser focused, and if by chance Broderick Jones, who I like, and then Paris Johnson, those guys I think they're going to be gone, man. But beyond that, it's hard to make an argument. And you say, oh, the guy started for 4 years at Tennessee. That's like buying a car with 160,000 miles already on it.
Yeah.
4-year starter, that's be 48 football games.
I think it's important to note, to your point about where the board is, where the board falls, halfway through the draft at 27, who's worthy to be taking. So
right.
Anton Harrison, big board rank 24 per PFF. DeJuan Jones is 31. So then you're talking about at 31, the Bills are potentially reaching, right, for a DeJuan Jones guy out of OSU, which OSU is a huge program. They're going to crank out big dudes. And then the next one, interestingly enough, I just caught this name, and I don't know why it didn't hit me before when I was doing my research earlier. Cody Mock, Carl Mock. Is there a connection there? You wonder?
No, it's not the same spelling.
No, we got you. 51. So there's your break point that you're talking about.
I watched him play at Arizona. He's not the guy, but I think the one guy, if he's available, I think DeJuan Jones, if he's available. But my concern about him is his, it sounds crazy to say, but his size.
Right.
I mean, you get to the point where, we had a number of guys that I played with who couldn't control their weight.
Right.
And you can eat your way off the football field. And it's a kind of it's not a double-edged sword. It's an obvious sword. Guys that in either high school or college that are just behemoths, and they use the weight, and it doesn't matter because they can grip and throw guys. And you could still do a little bit of that in college. It's psychological. You lose a little too much weight, and you kind of you can disintegrate as a player. So guys think I'm big. Since I was 8 years old, I've been told I was big.
Yep.
But I think DeJuan Jones, that's my only concern about him. Harrison, I do kind of like him. He's a little, maybe a little shorter. They say 6'4". I don't know.
Well, so, I mean,
but again, I feel like when it comes to this position, I'm better off taking a wide receiver.
So I was going to say, when you look at the time value of the position, right? So 6'5", 315 is effectively where you played, right?
Yeah.
So as much as Deion Dawkins is 6'3", I believe he's more than 315. He's also somewhat of an athletic freak. So he's
okay. Is he 6'3"?
I believe he's 6'3" or 6'4". Yeah, he's sub 6'5".
Well, maybe I was just a little verklempt standing next to him on the field at the Cincinnati game, but he looked like he was 7 feet tall.
I can check it. I'm sure somebody is already fact checking it in the chat. But
again, that goes down to how much you're going to get caught up in the metrics.
Sure.
Because if you're caught up in the metrics, Spencer Brown is your guy. He just needs to either be A, coached better, or B, the philosophy of the offense has to benefit everyone.
So it says he's 6'5" per Wikipedia, but I feel like he is not 6'5" when you see him. So it goes back to the whole. I don't even know how much these NFL metrics mean it, because like they say Greg Rousseau is 6'6", and I can tell you Greg Rousseau is not 6'6". I've stood next to the man. Boogie Basham is 6'6", and Greg Rousseau, I don't want to say dwarfs him, but he looks down at Boogie Basham. He's a big boy. So yeah, but it'll be interesting to see just kind of how this whole thing plays out as it pertains to just that tackle. Is Anton Harrison going to be there? Probably not, right?
Yeah. So to dial back and just simplify the whole thing, if Bijan's there, they're going to take him. Okay. He won't be. If their tackle isn't there, it's the wide receiver. If the wide receiver isn't there, it's the tackle. Those are the two biggest positions of need, other than getting a guy like Bijan Robinson. That's my opinion.
Right.
Middle linebacker, I don't think there's anybody on the linebacker list who we want as a play caller with experience to come onto this team with experience, right?
Well, when you say with experience, define with experience.
No. What I'm saying is, of the guys who have the experience play calling at the college level, I don't know that they are first round picks, right? So we're not going to take, if Jack Campbell's available, we're not going to take him at 27.
So I guess the question is when you're talking about draft, so and you're talking about, as much as people are like 27 is too early for Jack Campbell, right? But if you get a guy that comes in and plays Shane Conlon for 10 years, was he worth it? Reaching 12 picks?
I say yes. I mean, that's and the only reason I do selfishly is because you kind of just described me. I mean, I was a solid player. I didn't make a single Pro Bowl. I wasn't ever all pro. but I started for like 8.5 years.
Right.
And I didn't hurt the team. I didn't cause penalties. I stayed off the ground. The dog is barking. So that's worth it. Was I a reach? I don't know. I mean, I outplayed 3 of the other, there were 5 tackles drafted in the first round my year, and 2 of us played longer than the other 3 by a wide margin.
By a lot. Right.
And that's, again, hey, it's all just rolling the dice, baby.
Yeah, but I think you're underselling yourself, especially when you go back to the story that you talk about when you were had the private workout, the one-on-one workout with Bill Belichick, and his whole comment after just a couple drills was, F, and you're like, what? He's like, you're a first-round pick. Like, he knew, right, seeing you in person, in the flesh, with just some of the skills that you had, right?
And I agree. And thank you for that. Thank you for the compliment. They're so few and far between from you. But again, if you look at I'm playing the metrics of it all, right? I mean, we look at, and I listened to a podcast today, and this metric, it's the same thing I've been saying. It's like, I don't care if you get sacks when we're already up by 14 and we're in the 4th quarter. Right. If you had 10 sacks that year, and we were already winning by 14, that didn't change the game.
Right.
Right. So show me. So we get caught up in metrics. Oh, this guy's 6'7". He's 345 pounds. Draft fat guys. Well, you're just looking at a metric right now. And unless you're breaking down film, unless you're going through it piece by piece. And when you break down film of a player, I'm sorry, if you aren't watching at least 50 to 100 plays, and who's got time for that?
I think the phrase "draft fat guys" isn't about necessarily draft.
I know. It's just a dig on my man there. Just a little dig.
We love Dan. I think the issue is even as I look at the wide receiver breakdown, right, and the guys that are being projected to go to the Buffalo Bills at 27 from a wide receiver standpoint, Jordan Addison, people like that, they're just small guys. Not stature guys. And to me, the Buffalo Bills have those guys. They don't need more of those guys. Like, find me guys that have some threat to their frame.
That's why D-Hop is like what everybody wants to talk about, right? DeAndre Hopkins, because he's
a little bit bigger. He's 6'1", but he's proven it is more why D-Hop.
He's 6'1", but I mean, you look at the guys like Zay Flowers, right? I think is he 5'10", 5'11"?
Yeah, he's not big. But when it comes to linebacker, inside linebacker specifically, Jack Campbell has the makeup, has the size of a guy that, could potentially play middle linebacker in this league for a long time. Now, I'm not saying that he's Brian Urlacher, but he's 6'5". He's a big dude versus, other dudes. Drew Sanders who, believe it or not, is connected to the Bills at that kind of like at some point in this draft. 6'2", 240 pounds as an NFL middle linebacker.
I've been watching his highlights. I mean, to me, you're going to there's got to be a consolation. There's going to be a concession. Sorry, not a consolation, a concession. If you need the guy to be in the middle to make sure that all the pieces are in the right place before the ball is snapped, and that's your guy, then you might have to give up a little bit of play on experience, on the level of experience.
Right.
So which guy is that? Is it Drew Sanders or is it Jack Campbell? Or is it both?
In a second, because Matt Byram just said, and I'm responding to him. He just said that Drew Sanders was their pick for the Buffalo Rumblings mock draft. So
second round.
Second, I was going to say at 27. Like
no.
Got it.
Yeah.
So and Mark Johnson throwing it in here just for all of us. I'm making a Fina Speedo. So that's a little creepy, but hey.
That's so when you come to Fina Fest, right? Whenever we schedule that. I leave before the Speedos come out.
That's funny. So Drew Sanders. So there's just, when you look at Jack Campbell, he's got exactly the size that you're looking for as it pertains, and he can get sideline to sideline. I'm not saying that a dude that's 235, 240, 6'2", 6'3" can't get sideline to sideline. He probably can. But for me, when you're talking about the anchor in the middle, and I know the Bills run a nickel forward too. It's a hybrid, yada yada yada. And his role in Matt Milano, whoever the guy is, his role is the same as Matt Milano's. Blah blah blah. They're interchangeable. One guy just calls the plays, and I know all the speak. There's just an aspect of like, well, what if in 4 years they're not running a hybrid 4-2, right? What if they're not running a nickel 4-2 and they need a traditional middle linebacker? What if they want to break out of that, go to a 4-3? So then the question turns to trading. Right, getting out of that 27 position. And to be honest with you, I think this is what's going to happen. I think the Bills move out of that 27 position and pick up an extra second. And then it turns into, what do they do with that extra second round pick?
Yeah. No, so I like that thought. I mean, the only way they don't do that, and if it's down to the wire, the only way they don't do that is if it's Bijan Robinson. I just don't see, going back to what you said about the receivers, I don't see the form and figure of the guy that we need. And I agree with you. I'd like to see a bigger guy, bigger catch radius. And they're not in this draft for us. They're not in this draft for us. I think at the top of the round, the kid from, I can't even remember where he's from. Najiba from Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a special guy, but I think beyond that, we're doing kind of a lather, rinse, repeat with the shape and size of guys that we already have.
So let's do this, and this will be fun, just as an exercise goes, with the last couple minutes of the show. So I have profootballnetwork.com /mock draft up on the screen for those that are listening via radio. And I think it's important to go probably through round 3, right? And we're going to select the Buffalo Bills, and we're going to do just kind of see what happens. And the cool thing about this is it gives you trade options. Because one thing that we haven't talked about is it also came out yesterday or today, Monday is today, that the Arizona Cardinals are only looking for a second round pick, they qualified it with an early second. That actually came from one of their beat reporters. So, so agents have gotten a hold of him, and they have said that the Cardinals are looking for a second round pick, an early second for DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins has more than made it apparent that he's willing to come to Buffalo, that this is one of the landing spots, this in Kansas City. So we've got a dancing partner, and then it comes down to cap and salaries. And the reality is it's either a 1, 2, or a 3 void year situation. If the Bills put some void years in his contract, they can get his cap number down from 29 million, whatever the number is, it's huge, or 19 million, I don't know, to 5. So it becomes a moot point, right? So then it turns into, how long is he going to be here? At what point do you restructure him? Do you re-sign him? Is he a rental player? Yada, 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 all that fun stuff. But we're going to do a couple quick kind of just draft simulations. And I think for all intents and purposes, we can go through this and we can put in Jack Campbell and see what happens. We're going to get the opportunity to look at potential trade offers. And they change, which is cool, every single time that we do this. So right now I've got the Bills selected. We're drafting 24. I've got it selected through round 3. So we'll kind of get to see what happens. And then I've got it fast, so it doesn't take forever. So I'm hitting let's draft for those of you that are paying attention. Exactly. So 27, we're on the clock. So now the object is, at this point, if you and I are in agreement that the Bills are going to trade out of 27, right? So these are, in this mock, the options that we have. The Colts, we have 3 trade offers at 27, which probably makes sense. Pick 35, which puts us out of the first round, but in that early second round category, we still have our second round pick. And then a 2024 Indianapolis second. I have zero interest in a pick next year. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd rather get more picks this year.
The Bills have 6 picks this year. In my opinion, they need more than that.
Correct.
So we're gonna look at the next one. The next one is the Las Vegas Raiders, pick 38. They're offering us, and then a 2024 second. I'm probably out on that. Yeah. And then this is interesting. Dallas is trying to give up the farm for pick number 27. They want 27 and 130, and then it's 58.90. A Dallas 24 second, 24 third, and cornerback CJ Lewis. So if I'm picking one of these 3, I'm probably staying put at 27. Or are you going with a pick 35 from the Colts?
What was wrong with the Dallas offer? You give up 2 picks this year?
I didn't like the pick 58.
Oh, yeah, too far down, right?
I'll be honest with you. There's an aspect as I'm thinking about this. If depending on what I can get and where I can get it, if I can get in the 30s, I'm trading out of that pick too.
No, I don't like any of those options. I agree.
So now we're at the point of
reject.
Who are we taking?
This is fun, by the way. I never thought. Yeah. So who's available over there? Ooh.
So at this point in time, so if you're talking about offense, wide receiver, we're looking at Zay Flowers. Apparently, as per this mock, is currently available. Josh Downs.
Yeah.
Tight end is there's been a lot of people. Dalton Kincaid is being linked to the Bills a lot, who has he's a guy that's willing to block, and we have we have made it a point on this show to talk about the fact that the Bills have blocking issues at tight end. He's also a good pass catcher. Offensive tackle, Anton Harrison is there, and DeJuan Jones are both there. So at this point, right? So, and we might as well look at running back. And no, your guy is not there, Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
So Zay Flowers, Josh Downs.
Man, that's hard. I think, and I've been saying this, and anybody who's in the chat who's watched our show more than once this last season is, if we had, and it's not to disparage our current tight end, but if we had somebody who could block better, and if we got away from those silly formations where we're asking guys the size of Isaiah McKenzie to come get mixed up inside the box, that would make Spencer Brown a better offensive tackle. It would even help.
There's an argument to be made that Spencer Brown was a better right tackle when Lee Smith was out there with him.
Yeah, and he wasn't on the field that much, was he?
Lee Smith was the guy that they brought in every multiple tight end set. And he was
problem is that we don't run enough multiple tight. Like, this is the problem. If you draft Dalton Kincaid, that guy better be on the field 80% of the time, and that's not going to happen.
The Bills want to run. It's 12 personnel, right? They want to run 12. The Bills ran it a lot. Daboll's last season, and Lee Smith was always that guy. If I'm not mistaken, no, maybe Lee Smith was gone 2 years ago. I don't know. But I know that when Bobby Hart was out there with him, it didn't work. It didn't work as well this year with Bobby Hart out there with him as it did the year before. Whoever they were putting out.
Honestly, I think I'm going to make my pick.
Which is and who you taking? Dalton.
No, I'm going with Sarah Larson. I'm going with Zay Flowers.
Okay, Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get us to the second round.
What's wrong with me saying Sarah Larson?
My bad. I thought you were drafting Sarah Larson. I'm like, Sarah Larson is not eligible for the NFL draft. So we just took Zay Flowers. So we now have our number 2 wide receiver. So we are back on the clock, and I'm going to click out of all of this and see who is available at this point.
Who is available? Go to defense.
And actually, I didn't check defense to see before. To see if Jack Campbell was still there or not, but we'll check and scroll up.
Go to linebacker. I don't think he's there. He's gone. We lost him.
Yeah. So let's
go to offense again real quick.
2 seconds. So Jack Campbell was available. Jack Campbell went. He went late. Jack Campbell went 48.
All right, go to defense, go to linebacker, Noah Sewell. Ooh. And I watch both of these guys, right? Because I'm in the Pac-12. Noah Sewell's a good football player.
Yeah.
Smart.
So you like this? So let's do it again. So we're going to restart this thing. So Buffalo Bills, we're going to go through round 3.
Okay.
Fast draft. Let's draft. So it's going to give us, again, trade offers at this point in time because I still think the Buffalo Bills need to trade out. Dude, there was one mock that gave me, I told you this, they gave me Cortland Sutton, a second-round pick in Cortland Sutton. And I was like, let's do that. So the first offer we have of 2 is pick 74, pick 98 from the Browns, and Nick Chubb.
Ooh. No. Go to the next.
Full stop. For 27 and 2. This seems like this is not possible.
It's not. No.
So
Zay Flowers is gone in this one. Ooh, Keely Ringo. Whoa, already gone. All right.
So, and this is the one. So literally this just gave it back to me. So for 27, the Denver Broncos are offering 67, which means we still have our second.
So
Cortland Sutton. And then New Orleans 3rd-round pick in 2024.
I like that. I'd do that.
However, let's take a look real quick.
And see who's available.
So at linebacker, Jack Campbell, Trenton Simpson, Drew Sanders. Well, Trenton Simpson's an edge guy, if I'm not mistaken. Noah Sewell is there. Safety, Sidney Brown, Antonio Johnson. Offense, Bijan Robinson is still there.
What? Take him. That's easy.
Take him to F the needs. There's no needs.
I promise you will not be disappointed.
Yeah. Dalton Kincaid for tight end is still there. So it looks like all the tight ends are always going to be there. Josh Downs.
Yeah.
As far as wide receivers go and whatnot. So who are we taking here? Are we looking at the trade offers, or are we taking somebody?
I don't know. I like the idea of Sutton. I don't know what his size is, but he's proven, right?
Sutton is like 6'3" or 6'4". He's a proven.
I would take that deal, honestly. But I mean, how do we even? This is all just pie in the sky stuff. I mean, I don't know what. Yeah, I guess.
I think the draft simulators literally analyze what they've heard, what teams are looking to do. Right. So at this point in time, the reason, let's be honest, why do you think that the Cleveland Browns are willing to give us Nick Chubb? Because Bijan Robinson is available.
Yeah.
And Nick Chubb is going to be approaching his second contract, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's into a second contract yet, is he? I don't think so.
No idea.
So that's why. So let's do this. Let's take a player, and then let's see who's there in the second round.
Okay, who are we taking?
Or do you want to accept one of these trades?
No, we're not going to take the trade. I mean, if Bijan's there, I'm taking him. But let's think about it from more. Let's think about it from a more pragmatic standpoint, right? Sticking to what we've talked about. There's nobody going to be at linebacker that we want at 27, right?
No.
We're not.
Jack Campbell is there.
No, I know, but we decided that he's not a first round guy.
Well, are we on the fence? Because I said, what if he plays for 10 years?
Yeah, that's true. So this is why I am not a GM. And I'll tell you what happens. Like if I ever do a mock draft and I nail it, then I'm going to be like, what have I been doing with my life? I should have been doing this the whole time.
It's hysterical. I can't see myself to take, man, I mean, Anton Harrison isn't necessarily a bad pick here, but I can't see myself. I don't know that helps the team. And then wide receivers out. So I think the only pick you have here is effectively Jack Campbell.
All right, take him. See what happens.
All right.
Oh, no, don't take him. Too late. You bought the farm. So we are now being offered a trade again. We'll just reject that right now. Yep. And then so we're looking at. So we went linebacker with our number one. Now we got to go look at wide receivers. Right?
Marvin Mims.
Ooh.
Offensive tackle Cody Mauch.
We missed the boat. I watched him play at Arizona, and he is a bully. Yeah. And you like most everything about him. But I'm big at looking at like physical bodies in the offensive line. You know checking people out kind of thing in the showers. Not in that way, Joe. But I don't like the way he's put together.
Gotcha.
I don't think he's got the right bend. All right, what happened? We didn't get to the third round.
No, we're not gonna. Let's do another one. So we'll do one or two more of these here.
Okay, but I got the concert coming up soon.
Well, yeah, we're gonna be done here in a minute.
You did the slow one?
I did not do the I did the slow one.
You are the worst.
I am the worst. Restart. Good call. You saw that.
Okay. By the way, this is like getting sucked into like Instagram videos or TikTok or being sucked into Twitter, right? Like you could do this. You could do this activity that we're doing right now for like 6 hours. You'd wake up and you're like, wait, what happened? It's 4:00 in the morning. I never went to bed. I didn't eat dinner.
So somehow in this mock, the Vikings are offering us pick 87, pick 119, Dalvin Cook. So James's brother and a 2024 second for 27 and 205. This, if you want to talk about like, there's no way this is happening. There's no way this is happening offer. And it doesn't look like Bijan Robinson is available either. No, he's not. He went to 25. So who are they even?
The Giants? Would they have Saquon Barkley and they took Bijan?
Yeah, that doesn't seem to make sense at all.
Right.
So we're just gonna do another one because this one is BS. This is a bunch of crap. That is like, yeah, that's not happening. So we'll do this one more time, or maybe two. We'll see what happens.
See, you're doing it right now, Joe. It's going to be 7 hours from now. You're going to be like bleary-eyed.
So here we go. This is what I'm talking about. This is a perfect scenario. So the Lions are offering us 31 and next year's second for 27 and 137. Look, we could have both Josh Allens. The Jaguars want to give us 56, and
we could have 3 Allens on our team.
We could have 2 Josh Allens on our team. I don't know that's ever happened.
Go back to the first trade. I want to look at that again.
42 and 78.
To me, that's tempting right there.
So let's take this offer. This is the first trade offer that we're going to take.
Okay.
So we're back on the clock, and now
who did they take when they
Nikes? And now who did they take? Dalton Kincaid. They took a tight end, which they traded their tight end, Hawkinson last year.
Right.
So at this point in time, I need to see who's on the board, but we have 2 offers. Brandon Ayuk is being offered to us from San Francisco, and I would take Brandon Ayuk in a second, right? The Lions again want to climb up into our mentions and give us 48 and 81.
So you're going to trade away all the picks. You're going to just
trade away all the picks. I want to position myself to get Jack Campbell and DeAndre Hopkins with 2nd-round picks.
Okay.
That if I'm telling you what my intention is, that's my intention.
Is that whistling past the graveyard?
Right. Yes. Right now at 31, Zay Flowers is available. Who else? Darnell Washington.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. What are you mad about?
Well, I think we just traded to get a pick for next year, right? So we traded to get a pick for next year for a guy that we could have got at the pick at 27, or we're picking him at 31. Zay Flowers.
Effectively, yes.
Well, that's not the reason to trade.
And at 31, Jack Campbell is still available, as is Drew Sanders. And apparently there's some love in the chat for Drew Sanders because people are like, you passed on Sanders? So, yeah.
I don't know what to say. We're going to pass on 26 guys before our pick, or they're going to be unavailable. And then when we draft, we're passing on like 200 guys. I don't know.
I don't know if people are people calling us silly in the chat? I don't know why we're silly, but okay. The best part about what we're doing right now is this is not our thing. We don't.
So the problem is, we don't know what's going on in the war room. That's the problem. We're all putting ourselves in the war room because it's slick and fun and exciting, but they're doing freaking chaos math, and we're sitting here doing addition and subtraction because we don't have access to the information. And that's why we go through this exercise with zero knowledge and Olympic level mental gymnastics, and we're only going to be disappointed on draft day. You're only going to be happy about one pick.
Right. So Sarah,
I meant Sarah.
Yeah. So Sarah, question, you guys said you don't care about next year and then took that trade. I took the trade because I wanted 31. I didn't take the trade for the pick next year. I took the trade because I wanted 31 for the intention of trading back out of it.
No, and she was right. But so what you wanted to do is trade back out of it, get into the second, and get DeAndre Hopkins.
Correct. At this point, let's take Trent or Jack Campbell and see what happens.
Joe, I think you're breaking the algorithm.
So I'm going to none of those. So we've got our guy at Cedric Tillman is available. Tight end Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, offensive.
Well, that Luke Musgrave is a good looking player. Holy smokes.
From Oregon State.
But I don't think that's highest need. I mean, conceivably they can just take I can't think of his name. The other 6'8" tackle that we have. They can line him up at tight end a little bit.
Tommy Doyle. So Tommy Doyle, I believe last year did play a lot of that sixth offensive lineman stuff.
Tommy Doyle.
So yeah. So I don't know if there's a whole lot there as far as I go. So we'll do one more and then we'll get out of here. Does that work for you? Uno más, por favor.
Tyler Childers is waiting.
Tyler Childers going to a concert tonight. Last one. Here we go.
I'm mistaken. I saw it.
I saw it too. Yeah.
My mind gravitates to him immediately.
So I like this. So at 27, the Saints are offering us cornerback Roby, which we don't necessarily need a corner, but also pick 29. So move back 2 spots.
And then I don't know anything about that corner.
So so just for the sake of what we're trying to accomplish, I'm going to accept that deal.
Yeah, I like that deal. I mean, I don't know much about Roby, but if he's got experience, look at what happened to us. It seems like you can never have too many cornerbacks if you're the 2022 Buffalo Bills.
Well, there's also conversation about moving Christian Benford to safety, right? Which would potentially, if it works, fill a need, which means we're going to need to backfill corner a little bit. So now we're back at 29. So pick 58, pick 90 from Dallas, and then Dallas wants to give us 2 picks next year. Not super interested. Yeah, so this is not necessarily great. So let's see who's available. So offense. Wide receiver, Zay Flowers is available. Josh Downs is available.
Go to OT and OG.
I'm the OG. Anton Harrison. Pretty much in every mock, Anton Harrison is there in that 26 to 35 range, right? An offensive guard. Who do we got at center? No, it's a reach.
No.
Defense, linebacker, Jack Campbell.
Take him.
Is there at that point in time. You just got to wonder if the corner that they gave us is enough. right? Are we really interested in that corner? Which I'll be honest with you, I haven't necessarily heard of who that person of that corner. Somebody in the chat may have, but yeah.
I hate taking Campbell with our first pick. Everything else tempting is gone. That's what Sarah Larson says.
I agree.
Sarah makes great points. You know,
She does.
again, I mean, nothing is going to make any sense until we see the first 20 picks. Right?
The good news is the draft, especially the first and second rounds, are an exciting time, right? That's why we get chips and dip and beers and all kinds of stuff and get our friends together and hang out and have conversation. It's exciting because you never know if, you know, the trade music comes on, and is it your team that's coming up? Or is it your team that's going back? At the end of the day, the Bills, it's unfortunate because I feel like the Bills have some pretty significant needs. I don't feel like their draft position fits the needs they have necessarily. I don't believe in a world of, you know, best player available, because I think even when teams tell us we draft BPA, their BPA is based on boards and like team needs even still.
Well, sure. But I think the point of that is best player available for the two most pressing positions.
Right. And it'll be interesting to see what the Bills do. So if you had the best guess, what do you think the Bills are doing on Thursday night before we get out of here? And then I'll let you get off to your couch.
No, I agree with you. I think there's going to be a trade. I don't think Zay Flowers is the guy. I don't think you draft any of the linebackers in the first round. I think, you know, the way Bean wants to work it is move back enough, get a little bit, and get the guy that they want. And I don't know who that guy is. It's not an overly impressive wide receiver class for me. That's why I think they're probably still working the phones on the DeAndre Hopkins deal.
Well, to me, the object here is to drop back, pick up an extra second, right? Figure out a way to get, even if it's a move up, right? So even if it's get that early second to get Hopkins, and then move up from your second to get Jack Campbell. That to me is, you got an A for this draft.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. If we came away with Jack Campbell and DeAndre Hopkins, you know, I think that's pretty great. When we look at a safety later rounds, you know, you could argue all kinds of needs, Joe. We did this last week. You know, the productivity of the defensive ends isn't great. Is Von Miller still a question mark? You know, but if the collective groan, if they draft a defensive end at 27, will deafen the entire country.
Defensive tackle, who they've been linked to a defensive tackle at 27 as well.
Yeah, the kid from Clemson, maybe, or Florida. I think there'd be a lot of people who are, you know, you'll get, not that it matters, right? Only the owner matters as far as confidence in your GM and your head coach. But as long as you're deaf enough and you can't hear what's being said, and it's hard to tone down the internet, right? Yeah. It wasn't like when I played. You didn't have to care about what they wrote, or, you know, now there's 1,000 writers, 10,000 writers for every team. There are people who have great opinions and no opinions, but even bad opinions can get energy behind them.
Yep.
I don't want any of that. Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Now I'm nauseous. Jeez Louise.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. I think I missed that at the top of the show, but regardless, my name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. I'm the host of this here show, and sitting next to me, pointing at me with this gigantic finger, is the impressively built and just like beautiful blue eyes, dark hair, John Fina himself. You can find him on Twitter at John Fina. You should follow him because he's a great follow. John, any final words before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, everybody just take a pill or take a shot before the draft. We're not GMs. We all do something different with our lives. It's hard to win a football game. It's hard to stay healthy. It's hard to have the right game plan. It's all just a great big fun mix of garbage sometimes. Sometimes the garbage smells beautiful, man, and then it smells like the Cincinnati game. So
you went there.
Yeah, sorry, man. That one really stung. I'll just say to all the great people in the chat, everybody downloading and listening to this at their, you know, favorite podcast site, we know as much as you do, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less.
Probably less.
Believe in your team, root for the guys out there. I hope your guy gets drafted. Every one of you.
That's good. Wow. All right. Anyways, so for my, are you gonna say one more thing before I get us out of here? No.
I don't know what to say, man. A lot of people are going to be screaming on Thursday night, some with joy and some with fury.
For me, for John Fina, for Buffalo Rumblings, I believe Intentional Grounding is coming up right now with Sterling Furrow. Please hang out with Sterling. Joe Miller, John Fina, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.